just want to share a thought with you, very similar to what I shared with some pastors in the last week. But I want to share it with you because tonight, as we come to begin to pray this week, I want us to begin to pray really into our lives. During the week, we're going to be praying into other areas. We'll be praying into various areas of consecration on our Zoom prayer meetings, in our in-person prayer meetings. But tonight I want us to pray a little bit into who I am and who you are and what our life looks like. I don't know about you, but life doesn't always turn out the way you think it should, and what you planned and what you hoped for. And so there's a story, an account in 1 Kings 17 and 1 Kings 18 about vision, about seeing, about perceiving. And in 1 Kings 17 verse 1 it says, "Now Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe in Gilead said to Ahab, As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, there will neither be dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word," which is quite a big statement. And what's he saying? He's saying there's going to be a drought, right? And you can read everything that goes on in the next verses, but then we come to chapter 18 and there's a shift. And sometimes we'll be doing what we feel God has called us to do, or what we thought our life was to be, and there's a shift. Something happens, a left turn, health issues, money issues, all kinds of issues come along, and it doesn't end up the way we thought it would. And in 1 Kings 18, we read that same king Ahab goes to the prophet and he says, "What have I done to you? What have I wronged you with?" All this kind of thing. And he says, "It's about time it rained." And Elijah took his servant and they stood on a high point, and we know from elsewhere this servant was called Gehazi. And it says in verse 43 to 46, and this is a bit I want to draw out particularly, it says to his servant, he said, "Go and look toward the sea." And he went up and he looked, and he came back and he said, "There's nothing there. There's nothing there," he said. And 7 times Elijah told him, "Go back and look, go back and look again." And the 7th time the servant reported, "A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea." And so Elisha said, "Go and tell Ahab, hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." And meanwhile the sky grew black with clouds, and the wind rose, and a heavy rain started falling, and Ahab rode off to Jezreel. And it goes on. What do I want to draw out of that? Why is it so hard to see? So hard to see God's plan, so hard to see his provision, so hard to see the answers to prayer. And we discover that Elijah sent the servant out and he came back and said, "Nothing there." So the first thing he saw was nothing. Well, nothing is nothing. I mean, you can't dress that up. And 6 times he saw nothing. 6 times he saw no progress, no change. And then the 7th time came, and the servant comes back and says, "Well, there is this cloud. Elijah, there's this cloud. It's not very big. It's the size of a man's hand." Now, I don't know how far the cloud was away. He doesn't tell us. He says, coming up out of the sea. It's not even worth considering. It's only a little bit more than nothing. Isn't it, really? It's only a little bit more. It's not like there's massive clouds. And Elijah says, "Yes, go tell the king it's about to rain." See, sometimes we see it and we don't know what we're looking at. We see it and we don't see it. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't, because we see it and we don't see it. It's a bit more than nothing, but it still looks like nothing to us. Well, I'll tell you a true story. I told this, Aaron's heard this story. I'm sorry, Aaron. I'll tell you the story. Because for me it just illustrates a little bit of where I want us to pray into tonight. Why is it so hard to see? Back in August last year, my glasses broke. Now, I loved those glasses. They were really, really nice frames. I'd kept the frames through. They were on my third set of lenses. You have something you like and you keep it for a while, but the back of the arm started to crumble, started to perish, I think, with age. And it started to scratch me and started to irritate me. And then a lens got scratched. And I said to Barbie, I think I need to go and get a new pair of glasses made up. So because we're recording, I won't mention the high street brand, but you can probably guess. And so I went to where I should have gone in, according to the advert. I went there because they'd supplied them, but a different branch. I went to the branch in Bracknell now where I live and said to them, can you repair these frames? They said, no, we don't stock those frames anymore. You're going to need a new pair of glasses. £345, please. I'm like, what? £345 for a pair of glasses? Oh, all right then. Here you go. Wife said I can. We've agreed it. I'll do that. And then they said to me, it'll be ready in 2 weeks. I said, well, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be on holiday. And I'll be away for 2 weeks. So actually, you've got 4 weeks to produce them. So they said, oh, that's great, that's wonderful. Got back from my holiday and I got a text from them saying, come and pick up your glasses. Glory. So I go into the opticians who will not be named and get in there, and the chap who's supposed to be helping me, we sit down, he says, I can't find your glasses. Why have you come in? So I got this text message that says, come and pick up your glasses. And do you know what he said to me? He said, oh no, you shouldn't respond to that text message. You should only come into text messages from the store, not from our head office. Now, how am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know if it's a text message from the head office or if it's a text message from the store? And we had quite a conversation about this. And in the end, I said, well, when will it be ready? Be ready in a week. Definitely be ready in a week. Right. Week's time, I phoned them up in the morning and I said, are my glasses ready? We'll phone you back. Well, no one phoned me back. And I was going to be in town anyway later that afternoon. So I went in to the store. I thought, I'm having my haircut in the shop across the road, across the way from it. I'll go in and ask them. So I go in and say, is my glasses ready? They said, oh, yes, we looked for them this morning. And then we found them. We didn't like them. Didn't like how the lenses were put in or something. So we sent them back. But they hadn't told me. They just sent them back. They hadn't told me. Well, this is 5 weeks now. Now I'm a patient man. But I'm not that patient. Because I've got these frames that are really irritating, scratching behind my ear and stuff. So I said the magic words. Not magic words, but I said the words where you will get a manager at your attention in the optician that shall not be named. I want a refund. And it was like the whole store fell silent. It was like, wow. And so anyway, they came along and said, why? And I explained this situation. It's been 5 weeks, and I came in for a text message. Apparently, I shouldn't have, and all this sort of thing. And I said, I just want a refund. I'm going to go somewhere that can do actually, to an optician that can make a pair of glasses. That is really all I want. That's all I want. Because it was becoming really hard to see. And all these obstacles were being put in my way. And then I said to them, can you just print off my, is it called a prescription for glasses? Can you print that off so that I can take it somewhere else? Oh, no, we can't print it off for you. I'm like, why can't you print it off? Because you had your eye test in a different branch. So you'll have to contact them. And I'm like, but you've got it on the screen to make up the glasses that you haven't made. And so it went on, and they said, no, we can't do it. Anyway, I got hold of the other branch, and they said, no, we can't print it for you. we have to post it. I'm like, what? Why can't you just print it? No, we have to post it to you. Anyway, they posted it. It came 5 days later, and I thought, right, that's it. I'm done with the opticians that you're supposed to go to. I'll go when my son has gone, and he went to an online optician. Right? And so I ordered the spectacles because I now have the prescription. I did everything. I did all the measuring of the glasses, all that sort of stuff they show you how to do. Did it, sent it off, And 4 weeks later, new pair of glasses arrived, which fitted perfectly. Yay! I couldn't see a thing through them, but they fitted perfectly. Because when I tried to read, it was like everything was in a pyramid. So I don't know if you've ever watched Star Wars. We'll forgive you if you have, but I did growing up. And you remember at the beginning, the text is all narrow and goes wider. It was like that. It was weird. It's like Barbie was the weirdest shape you'd ever... And I was like, what's going on here? So I had to send it all back to them, the glasses and my prescription and everything else, and eventually they came back and said, yes, we've put them in wrongly, but we'll refund them. So I got another refund. I still can't see a thing. Still can't see. Still got irritated glasses behind my ear and all this. Why is it so hard to see? Why is it so many obstacles get in our way to see? And then I said to Barbie, I've had enough. I'm not sure if I should mention the third optician because that would be endorsing them. But we're not on the BBC, are we? So we're all right. So I went to Boots. Said to Barbie, that's it. I've had enough. I'm off to Boots. And she's like, well, you're going to pay there. I said, oh, no. This is my Christmas present, darling. Because by now, it's nearly Christmas, you understand. This is my Christmas present, darling. I'm going to go to Boots. And I went into Boots and they said, what's been going on? I told them all my sad story and they listened patiently. And they said, well, we're going to give you an eye test just to make sure and all of that. And then they said, and I need broader frames because I've got a big fat head, basically. And the broader the frame, the less choice in the range. But anyway, I got these broad frames, and they said I'd rather spend money on lenses and to be able to see clearly. And they're like, we do Zeiss lenses, and I know Zeiss because one of my hobbies was photography. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're good lenses. And then they took 14 measurements of my head. 14. Thinking, how many ways can you measure someone's head? And they did things even like the distance from the front of my eyeball to where the lens would sit. I had measurements I never thought existed. They did all these measurements and they said, right, come back in 2 weeks. I thought, I've heard that before. I go back in 2 weeks and I say, are my glasses ready? Yes, here they are. Would you like to try them on? And these are them, by the way. These are them. I know they don't look much different to my old glasses, which is what my wife said. She said to me, are those new glasses or are those the old ones? And no, they're slightly bigger, but they're from their range. Like I said, the choice goes down the bigger the thing you want. It's either blue or black, and that was it. And anyway, I put them on, and I could instantly see. Best glasses I ever had. No problem reading. If you have varifocals, some of you would know this, you have to take time to adjust and all that malarkey. None of it. Just put them on, I could see. 2 and a bit times the price that I'd originally paid. See, sometimes if we want to see, we have to pay a price. We have to push through obstacles. We have to push through difficulties. We have to push through sometimes well-meaning Christians who will have words, just like and promises and all sorts of things, even like those 2 opticians had that I went to, who said, we can get you, it shouldn't be that hard to make a pair of glasses if that's your stock and trade, but apparently it's quite difficult. And then to push through the obstacles and be able to say, no, I want to see. It's like the servant having to keep going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 times before he sees something, and then he didn't know what he was seeing. And I wonder if our lives are a little bit like that as we come to pray, we're not going to pray big corporate prayers tonight. We're going to pray very personal prayers. I want you to have moments tonight with God. And I was reminded, and I shared this in our team meeting, but also with some pastors, but I share it with you on day 10 of our devotion, on our consecration devotion. I have to really think about how to say that word. Is it concentration or congregation? Or what is it? It's a tongue twister, as Barbie said. But in 2 Chronicles 25, on day 10, it said Amaziah was 25 years old when he became king. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, but not wholeheartedly. And there's this element about us in church. You're all good Christians because you're in the prayer meeting. You want to meet with God. But there's part of us that sometimes can be divided. that finds it hard to see, to hear God, to press in. And so I'm going to invite you during the course of the next moments. I've got some post-it notes here, and I've only got one pen. I hope you've got a pen. And I'm just going to pop the post-it notes up here by the pray sign. I must get that fixed. Careful as you walk there. This will test if you're seeing. See what I did there? So anyway, I need to reattach it. What I'd like us to do as we're praying, and if you need a pen, I think Aaron's going to grab some. Ask God, what's the plan and the vision for your life? What is it that's been so hard to see? What is it that you've thought, well, that's just the cloud the size of a man's hand? What is stopping you seeing that? What's stopping you seeing the things that you thought God had for you? And some of those things, the Lord might have to say to you, that was your presumption. That was you just thinking you were going to get it. But what are the other frustrations? What are the obstacles? What are the difficulties? What are the things that are stopping you seeing what God has? And then as you get that sense of, this is the promise of God over my life, this is what I believe God's got for me. And it might be something very simple. But to you, to the rest of us, we might think, well, that's simple. But to you, it's the most important thing right now. And that could be a touch of healing. That could be a financial breakthrough. It could be a promotion. I don't know what it is. It could be just that sense of, you need, some of us need new jobs, whatever it is. But also, you'll have that sense of, yes, Lord, that's what I see. That's my cloud. And I would love for you, anonymously, please don't put your names on these, because Aaron will enjoy reading them during the week. No, don't put your name on them. Just write it on the post-it note, briefly as you can, and pop it on the prayer board. I was going to stick it on the cross, but I don't think they stick too well. Pop it on the prayer board. This is what I want to see this week. This is where I want to meet with God this week. This is my moment this week. This is where God's taking me in our prayer meetings this week. And then at the end, as we wrap up, last week I shared this after church, at the end, after the message, the prayer of the Fellowship of the Unashamed, which I've put on our pillar there, if you're wondering what it is. And it might be nice at the end if we gather together and say that prayer, that declaration of consecration of, this is who I am in Christ, this is where I'm going. We say it together. And I did, as a total disclosure, I did do that with, I don't know how many leaders were there, and maybe 35 or something. And I was amazed that no one else had ever heard this. I thought every pastor in the world had heard this, because it's gone around a lot. But as we close, it will be, that's what I'm going to pray. I've been praying that prayer every day through these days of devotion. And I'll continue to pray it for this week.